Namaskar, good evening viewers. You're watching the news with your host Kriti Mishra. Get ready for your daily dose of national and global developments without cacophony and noise. First up, the headlines this Saturday evening. Pakistan National Assembly meets on no confidence vote against Prime Minister Imran Khan. Government insists on discussing allegation of foreign conspiracy. People above 18 years of age eligible for booster dose of COVID vaccine from Sunday. Health Ministry holds meeting with states, instructs 5 states with high incidence of COVID to keep strict vigil. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla lays stress on dialogue to resolve global disputes. Addresses meeting of Commonwealth Parliamentary Association in Guwahati. Asserts that Indian democracy is strong, mature and vibrant. Nations condemn Russia's missile attack on railway station in Ukraine. President Zelensky demands strict action. Russian Defense Ministry denies role in the attack. And first ever gold medal for India at World Double Squash Championship. Deepika Palikal and Saurav Ghoshal win mixed doubles title. On to our flash news segment now. No plan to privatize railways. Need to accept latest tech, says Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav. President Ramnath Kovind inaugurates National Conference on Mediation and Information Technology at Kevadia in Gujarat. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu confers Sangeet Natak Academy Fellowship and Sangeet Natak Awards for year 2018. Cabinet decision on ATAL Innovation Mission gives boost to our efforts in research and innovation, says Prime Minister Modi. Polling held for 27 seats of Legislative Council from local authorities in Uttar Pradesh. Uttarakhand Chief Minister launches corruption-free Uttarakhand app 1064. Hafiz Talha Saeed, son of LET Chief Hafiz Muhammad Saeed, notified as terrorist under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. First batch of air crew of Indian Navy completes training for induction of MH-60R helicopters. Met Department issues yellow alert in 7 Kerala districts indicating heavy rainfall. India beat reigning world and Olympic champions Netherlands 2-1 in Women's Hockey Pro League. And the Pakistan National Assembly is taking up the voting on no confidence motion against Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan. On Saturday, the National Assembly met to decide the fate of Prime Minister Imran Khan. Shortly afterwards, the Speaker adjourned the session after Leader of the Opposition in the National Assembly, Shehbaz Sharif, made a speech reminding the Speaker that he was bound to go ahead as per the Apex Court's order. Later in the evening, Imran Khan addressed the National Assembly. The government has filed a review petition against the Apex Court's decision to set aside the Deputy Speaker's April 3rd ruling. In a 5-0 verdict on Thursday, a 5-member bench of the Supreme Court ruled that Deputy Speaker Qasim Suri's ruling rejecting a no-confidence motion against Khan was contrary to the Constitution. And moving on now, Health Secretaries of States and UTs met on Saturday to discuss the modalities of the booster dose vaccination for the age group of 18 to 59 years. Precautionary doses of anti-COVID-19 vaccines will be available at private centres from April 10th. Addressing the meeting, the Union Health Secretary said private centres will issue the guidelines for the vaccination. They can charge a maximum of 150 rupees as service charge over and above the vaccine cost. The Ministry of Health has clarified that booster dose will be the same vaccine that was given earlier. No new registration will be required. Apart from health and frontline workers, citizens of 60 years above will be able to get booster dose at any vaccination centre. Over 185 crore and 55 lakh anti-COVID vaccines have been administered so far in the country. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla has emphasized that dialogue and diplomacy is the way to resolve international disputes. He was addressing the inaugural function of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association's executive meeting in Guwahati in Assam. The Lok Sabha Speaker exhorted Commonwealth countries to work for the collective goal of welfare of humanity. He asserted that democratic institutions of the Commonwealth countries are capable of meeting any challenge. Speaker Birla emphasized that India has always been a strong supporter of democracy and democratic values. He pointed that Indian democracy is not only ancient, but strong, mature and vibrant. The Assam Assembly Speaker Biswajit Dimri said the conference will help us to strengthen our democratic institutions and processes.
इसलिए हमें कोशिश करना चाहिए कि हम किस तरीके से पूरे विश्व के देश मिलकर किसी भी चुनौतियों का, किसी भी संकट का सामूहिकता के साथ मुकाबला करें। राष्ट्रमंडल देशों की हमारी लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाएं अपनी प्रतिबद्धताएं एवं परस्पर सहयोग के माध्यम से वैश्विक चुनौतियों का मुकाबला करने में सक्षम है।
तो उसके जरिए हमारी गणतांत्रिक प्रक्रिया को शक्तिशाली बनाना है और पार्लियामेंट्रियन को भी शक्तिशाली बनाना है, ताकि पार्लियामेंट की जो मंच है उस मंच में अच्छे से अच्छे विषय पर बात कर सके और देश के लिए, जनता के लिए, उसको भलाई के लिए, उसके भलाई के लिए कुछ अच्छा मतलब योजनाएं ले सके, पॉलिसी ले सके, कानून बना सके।
And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu stressed the need for urgent action to preserve Indian folk traditions. For this, he said the nation needs a cultural renaissance. The Vice President presented the Sangeet Natak Academy and Lalit Kala Academy fellowships and awards at a special function in Delhi on Saturday. Tabla players Zakir Hussain, Jatin Goswami, Dr. Sonal Man Singh and T.K. Kalyan Sundaram were given Sangeet Natak Academy fellowships. 40 others were honoured with the Sangeet Natak Academy Award. The Lalit Kala Academy Awards were given to 23 personalities. Vice President urged schools and parents to encourage children to learn arts of their choice.
Let us enrich our lives by learning, appreciating, and promoting various art forms around us. I would like to appeal to education institutions at all levels to give equal importance to art subjects in their curriculum. It is very much necessary.
And in news from across the states, Prime Minister Modi will address the 14th Foundation Day celebrations at Umaya Mata Temple in Junagadh in Gujarat on Sunday. The temple will be holding the Ram Navami celebrations. Union Minister for State for External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi and ICCR President Vinay Sahasrabudhe launched the India Alumni Portal to connect students from other countries who have studied in India. India Alumni Identity Cards were also provided to some students under the program. BJP President JP Nadda is on a tour to Himachal Pradesh. He led a roadshow in Shimla on Saturday with Chief Minister Jairam Thakur. JP Nadda also met BJP MLAs for a brainstorming session. Himachal Pradesh's Aam Aadmi Party President Anup Kesri, along with other AAP leaders Satish Thakur and Iqbal Singh, joined the BJP in the presence of BJP President JP Nadda and Union Minister Anurag Thakur. Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan met Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami at his residence on Saturday. Both leaders discussed measures to help youth with employment opportunities through better education and skill development. Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar attended the Alumni Meet 2022 of Maharishi Dayanand University in Rohtak. Elaborating the steps taken by the government in the field of education in the state, he said this year his government has kept a budget of 20,000 crore for education. Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant expanded his cabinet by inducting 3 more MLAs. Goa Governor P.S. Sridharan Pillai administered oaths of office and secrecy. Former J&K Minister Jatinder Singh was arrested from Kathua district in the Hawala gang case. Babu Singh was recently declared a prime accused in a case related to the recovery of Hawala money for subversive activities. And coming up, on the other side, a boost for commercialization of space travel. SpaceX sends the first ever private crew to International Space Station.
मैं आपको लेकर आया हूं आज दिल्ली के पूसा इंस्टीट्यूट में।
इस लाइट ट्रैप में लाइट से कीट अट्रैक्ट होते हैं और इसमें आके इसका एक चैम्बर बनाया है, उसमें फंस जाते हैं।
एक ही दिन में 35 से 40 एकड़ का हम स्प्रेइंग कर सकते हैं।
वाइट ड्रॉप कंट्रोल करने के लिए हम EPN का यूज़ कर रहे हैं।
ये इनोवेशन है एक छात्र का। किसानों का काम सरल हुआ और एक ही साथ 4 पंप से 4 गुना काम वो कर सकते हैं।
We all know the importance of good health, but often we don't know how to achieve it. There's plenty of information available, but again, we don't know what is right and what is wrong. To know the truth and get your answers straight from some of India's top specialists, join me, Dr. Amrish Mithal, on Healthy India, only on Sansad TV.
Those in favor, please say aye.
जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए,
I think the ayes have it.
हवालों के पक्ष में हुआ।
Ayes have it. The bill is passed.
Welcome back. You're watching the news. And in news from the war front in Ukraine. European Commission President has accused Russian forces of having committed war crimes by targeting civilians in Ukraine. Her remarks came amid widespread international condemnation and calls for accountability over the deadly attack on a train station in Ukraine. Ukrainian officials say at least 52 people were killed and hundreds more wounded in the attack, for which Russia has denied responsibility. Ukraine's southern city of Odessa has imposed a weekend curfew over what it said was a Russian missile strike threat. Ukraine said that 10 humanitarian corridors to evacuate people from besieged regions have been agreed for Saturday. The planned corridors include one for people evacuating by private transport from the city of Mariupol. Meanwhile, the European Union formally adopted new sanctions against Russia, including bans on the import of coal, wood and chemicals. On the other hand, Russian forces are stepping up their offensive in the Donbas region of eastern Ukraine after withdrawing from the north. Russia's Justice Ministry also revoked the registration of 15 foreign organizations, including Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch. Now news from across the globe. The Union Home Ministry has notified LET member Hafiz Talha Saeed as a terrorist under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. Hafiz Talha Saeed is the son of Lashkar-e-Taiba founder Hafiz Mohammad Saeed. The Home Ministry notification said Hafiz Talha Saeed has been actively involved in recruitment, fund collection, planning and executing attacks by Lashkar-e-Taiba in India and Indian interests in Afghanistan. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Saturday expressed grief over the death of Indian student Kartik Vasudev, who was shot dead in Canada's Toronto. Taking to Twitter, Jaishankar offered his deepest condolences to the family. On Friday, the Indian Embassy in Toronto expressed shock over the demise of the Indian student. The embassy is in touch with the family and will provide all possible assistance in the early repatriation of mortal remains. 21-year-old Indian student Kartik Vasudev sustained multiple gunshot wounds after a shooting at the entrance of a subway station in Canada's Toronto while he was on his way to work. Vasudev received medical attention from an off-duty paramedic and was taken to a hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Investigators have invited witnesses to share information or camera footage to solve the crime. Now in other news, France will have its first round of presidential elections on Sunday. President Emmanuel Macron was a clear favourite in the race till recently, but latest polls show a narrowing gap between him and far-right leader Marine Le Pen. The race includes nearly a dozen contenders. A low turnout is predicted that could help decide the race. The Inter-American Court of Human Rights has ordered Peru to refrain from releasing imprisoned former President Alberto Fujimori. The Regional Human Rights Court said the sentence issued by the Constitutional Court on March 17th that restores the pardon for Fujimori did not comply with the certain conditions. Human rights groups have welcomed the resolution. Former Brazilian President Lula da Silva chose a past rival, Alckmin, as his running mate in October's election. The pick appears to be aimed at improving the leftist appeal to centrist voters and shoring up his lead in early polls over incumbent President Bolsonaro. De Silva held a public meeting with Alckmin. In the US, 3 teenagers walking home from school were shot when a gunman started firing during a street corner dispute. One of the victims succumbed to her injuries. The shooting is the latest episode of headline-grabbing violence in New York City. A 16-year-old girl and a 17-year-old boy were injured, but both were expected to survive. Police are examining security camera footage to identify the shooter. And the Motion Picture Academy banned Will Smith from attending the Oscars or any other Academy event for 10 years following his slap of Chris Rock at Academy Awards. The move comes after a meeting of the Academy's Board of Governors to discuss a response to Smith's actions. Smith had resigned from the Academy last week during the run-up to the meeting. And all the action from the sporting world. Starting today with squash. It was a double golden delight for Deepika Pallikal in the World Doubles Championships played at Glasgow. Pallikal and Saurav Ghoshal won the mixed doubles title, beating 4th-seeded English duo of Alison Waters and Waller 11-6, 11-8 in the final. Deepika then partnered Joshin Chenappa in the women's doubles, and the Indian pair defeated England's Sarah Jane Perry and Alison Waters 11-9, 4-1, 11-8. These are the 2 gold medals India has won at the World Doubles Championships. On to badminton now. PV Sindhu has been knocked out of the Korea Open Super 500 badminton tournament. Sindhu lost in the semi-final against Korea's An Seong. The 3rd-seeded Indian tried everything at her disposal but couldn't find a way to get past world number, going down 14-21, 17-21 in 48 minutes. This is Sindhu's 4th successive loss to the Korean. It was a disappointing day for India in the Korea Open badminton tournament. After Sindhu's loss in the women's singles, the lone remaining hope in the men's singles, Kitambi Srikanth, too could not progress. Srikanth was outsmarted by Kriti in straight games 21-19, 21-16. Moving to hockey now, the Indian women's hockey team lost to the Netherlands in the second match of the Pro League 1-3 in a shootout. The match had ended 1-1 in regulation time. Earlier on Friday, India had stunned the Olympics champions Netherlands 2-1 in the first match of the Pro League. That was India's 4th win in the Pro League. And in cricket now, in a thriller played in Mumbai, Shubham Gill scored 96 and with 12 runs required off the last 2 balls, Rahul Tewatia hit 2 sixes to win for Gujarat Titans against Punjab Kings. In the first match played today in the IPL, Sunrisers Hyderabad defeated Chennai Super Kings by 8 wickets. Now news from the world of science and technology. A SpaceX rocket ship blasted off, carrying the first all-private astronaut team ever launched to the International Space Station. Industry executives and NASA have welcomed the flight as a milestone in the commercialization of spaceflight.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
A team of 4 selected by Houston-based startup Axiom Space Inc. for its debut spaceflight and orbital science mission lifted off on Friday morning from Cape Canaveral, Florida. Live video webcast by Axiom showed the 25-story SpaceX launch vehicle, consisting of a 2-stage Falcon 9 rocket topped by its Crew Dragon capsule, streaking into the blue skies over Florida's Atlantic coast. Cameras inside the crew compartment beam footage of the 4 men strapped into the pressurized cabin, seated calmly in their helmeted white and black flight suits as the rocket soared towards space. 9 minutes after launch, the rocket's upper stage delivered the crew capsule into its preliminary orbit. The rocket's reusable lower stage, having detached from the rest of the spacecraft, flew itself back to Earth and safely touched down on a landing platform, floating on a drone vessel in the Atlantic. Spectators at Space View Park, directly across from the launch pad, cheered as the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket thundered into the sky from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. In the 10-day mission, the crew will spend 8 days on the International Space Station, conducting scientific research, outreach and commercial activities. Bureau Report, Sansad TV. And in the UK, takeaways, restaurants and cafes with more than 250 employees are required to display the calorie count of dishes and drinks on their menus. The new calorie labeling rules have come into force to tackle obesity problems in the country.
Large food businesses are now required to put calories on their menus in UK. The initiative is an attempt to tackle obesity and promote healthy eating. But the new labeling might be difficult to digest.
When I'm going out to a restaurant, I'm going to come to enjoy it. So whether it's a high calorie count or a low calorie count, I'm here to have a nice time.
I like the idea. You want to know, you might make a better choice by not ordering that extra side of, garlic bread.
For some people who have eating disorders, for example, it could be something that would actually stop them from eating or that they would find really, really distracting.
Experts, however, say the labeling could be a tad too simplistic, since calories don't paint the whole picture. There would always be food that may be higher in calories simply because of the amount of healthier fat or healthier protein and fiber in them. In England, almost 63% adults are overweight or living with obesity. Since 1993, the proportion of adults who are obese has risen from 14.9% to 28%. Obesity is also the second biggest cause of cancer across the country. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And scientists are tracking a virus outbreak among dolphins among the US East Coast. They believe the virus is transmitted through the mammals' social networks when they share space and air. Dolphins frequently come to the surface of oceans to catch their breaths. But researchers fear this may be increasing the spread of a virus, cetacean, that is highly contagious and lethal. The virus is thought to have cut coastal dolphin populations by as much as 50%. And much like COVID, it is a respiratory virus. According to scientists, the danger comes from synchronized breathing that dolphins often do together. It's basically when dolphins surface at the exact same time, within a certain distance of each other, and exhale at the same time. Something that mothers and calves do all the time. To monitor dolphin health, health authorities are tracing dolphin social networks, much like public health authorities did in the COVID-19 pandemic. Besides catching the virus, pollution in the waters, plastics, human refuse, and waste affect these marine mammals by compromising their immune systems and making them less potent to fight off disease. While viruses naturally occur in the wild, human disruption to marine habitats leave the animals more vulnerable to disease. The disease, first detected in Virginia and Maryland waters, can spread rapidly among dolphins along the Atlantic coast, as it did from 2013 to 2015. Bureau Report, Sansad TV. And before we sign off, here's a relook at the headlines. Pakistan National Assembly meets on no-confidence vote against Prime Minister Imran Khan. Government insists on discussing allegation of foreign conspiracy. People above 18 years of age eligible for booster dose of COVID vaccine from Sunday. Health Ministry holds meeting with states. Instructs 5 states with high incidence of COVID-19 to keep strict vigil. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla lays stress on dialogue to resolve global disputes. Addresses meeting of Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Guwahati, asserts that Indian democracy is strong, mature and vibrant. Nations condemn Russia's missile attack on railway station in Ukraine. President Zelensky demands strict action. Russian Defense Ministry denies role in the attack. And first ever gold medal for India at World Doubles Squash Championship. Deepika Pallikal and Saurav Ghoshal win mixed doubles title. And viewers, that's all we have for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Namaskar.